hurricane, a tidal wave. Essence perfect, life looks brilliant. Give me more of this. I'm out of control, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You're burying me, burying me. Yeah, you're burying me, burying me. You've got me hypnotized, push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. I can see, I can hear, going crazy for the light. It's got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Get you out of my hand again. Is it wrong? Is it right? It's like I've won my final war without a fight. I'm out of control, about to blow, and I've been caught in the undertow. So toxic, but I can't get enough. You bury me, bury me. I know you bury me, bury me. You've got me hypnotized, push me out of myself. You've got me hypnotized. I can see, I can hear, going crazy for the light. It's got me hypnotized. You've got me hypnotized. Get you out of my head, get you out of my head
Please note.
Never gonna stop, never gonna change, never gonna do the things you say. I run my own way to get there. Fools are calling and the I seem to care. In the air, no more crowd, just the opposite kind of few clouds. So tell me this time is coming, for the sake of all your lies. Why don't you try to be wise? Now that I need you, why?
Wanted to be alive, just to feel like I'm fading. And though my heart breaks a beat of down, I cross the lens just to tell you, don't lead the way, don't even say that I drown with a child playing the rain. I feel like I'm fading. Please note.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of every single age, unless you're under 18, then please get parents' permission, because there will be a lot of swearing in this, because I'm on it. But welcome to Making an Impact with me. We've got a full crew. I had family business and Valentine's, which was interesting for me. But no, thank you guys ever so much for watching. If you haven't seen us before, here's a little intro into who we are and what you are expecting from tonight's show.
What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let them burn it out. Sell them to the richest buyer. They wanna let the world decay. They tell us lies and fade away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race. Wake it to the back of the pack, kill it anyway. Listen up now, because we're never dropping out. Beat the odds, beat the big house. The brains are bigger than the doubt. We've been thinking for ourselves, never let the truth fade away. This is bigger than ourselves, we won't let the world burn away. We feel betrayed. We were raised to lose the race.
Cut cut off really quickly there at the end. I forgot that it just cuts off there. I was even watching the countdown, and it still cut off quicker than I was expecting. Hello, Bobby. Hope you're doing well. We're having a good Friday. We're all a bit, well, I know I am, and I know Astrid is tired from work, and Brett has got something very important going on straight after this. So we're going to be quick, and just like everyone else. But most important thing, Brett, you were there. We're going to quickly get to this before we move on to tonight's show. You were there for Josh Alexander's final ever match in TNA. It's been reported he was potentially going to AEW by Dave Meltzer, which means he's not going to AEW. So what was your thoughts and your feelings of when you experienced the emotion from all of the superstars coming out and everything that happened at the end there live in the audience?
Yeah, it was just really telling Josh's impact, not only on screen as a professional wrestler, but also behind the scenes. He gets a lot of credit, I feel, in different interviews, and people on social media constantly acknowledge him as a locker room leader. And I think that really, it's hard to feel that or like see those type of emotions for different people, and except for in moments like that. So I'm glad that he got that send off in that moment. I wish he had like a different match personally, but I think that the locker room coming out was a really touching moment.
Astrid, your thoughts on it as well? See, after watching it and the emotions going into that.
No, it's like I echo what Brett was saying too. It's like I've been able to. I had the opportunity to meet him while he was world champion, so to be able to be with him and see a little bit of a glimpse of what the kind of human he is really amazing to what he is now. Hoping always for the best for him. I'm definitely gonna miss him in TNA, but I just want to see what else the future has for him. Again, the send-offs are always something that gets me emotional. I would do the same thing. I wish he would have had like a pay-per-view match like Jordan, that knowing that would be the last match to like really have him show out, and to have it be live rather than taped, so that we will get like genuine reactions from people. And that's something that people knew about from a couple of weeks ago at the same time. But I love the pictures that people have shared on social media that he has reshared as well. And it's always nice when you get to see the people, the way they react to him outside. It just shows a reflection of what it is inside for him.
Absolutely. I was disappointed in the match and the way it ended as well. So I've just seen a comment which will now be shown. Enjoy this. He's Canadian and he's not PCO, so he's amazing. Yes. PCO's gone very quiet on my timeline recently. Thank God from that. But we're going to go into this week's action and the little things I want to discuss. I know, Astrid, you probably talked about it on Taking Over, but I want to get Brett's opinion on this subject. Mr. Moose going face-to-face with Oba Femi. Now, I didn't want this match before seeing them face to face. Now I really want to see the match. Brett, your opinion on this?
Yeah, it's an interesting angle. I kind of just wish, this is probably me nitpicking a little bit. I just wish that Moose was an X Division champion while doing it. I feel like he doesn't need the X Division title to begin with, but then B, I feel like the focus is on the TNA and NXT crossover with this match. It's not going to be about the X Division title. So I just feel like it kind of just makes the X Division title feel like an attire piece rather than the championship that it is. So that's my only gripe about it. But taking that out of it, I'm really excited to see the match that they put together, because I think they have that imposing look in different ways. But they provide like that same type of response. I feel like when you see like Moose go up against somebody, I like to use the phrase same shit, different font, and I feel like that's what they bring, but I think it makes for a great match.
I quite like the tweet Moose posted straight after his showing on NXT. He goes, "We're both Nigerian. We both have the signature X on our titles. Some chant Woo, some chant Moose. You're the face of NXT. I'm the face of TNA. Let's do it." And I was like, oh, right, I need to see this now. This is a thing that needs to happen for it. But we're gonna kick things off with today's show, and it kicked off with another Joe Hendry concert and a few surprises. One, I was like, and the other one, I was like, oh my god, what the hell is happening? You my reaction to which one was which. Um, I didn't know this, okay, and I'm quite happy TNA brought this up. This is why I'm going to go to Astrid first. The Colóns, as I call them, as they are now known, they've done everything in Puerto Rico wrestling. They were listing off their singles and tag accomplishments in Puerto Rico, and I went, do they have any other wrestlers out there, or these men just winning it all? Because it's ridiculous. How they get disrespected, I think sometimes. Now me knowing this slightly put them up in my estimation because I never knew any of this in the way that they've done things before. This is phenomenal for TNA to get these two. Surely, Astrid, I'm going to pass it over to you on this one.
So you never seen their WWE stuff before?
Oh, I saw the WWE stuff and I couldn't care about it. I
Okay.
literally did not care about them in WWE at all.
Okay.
And if they were in the game, I used them as a jobber. So that's how it went for me.
The disrespect.
No, I know.
Okay. The best way I can describe it. Okay. Let's say, for example, just to give you a visual. So let's say Ric Flair has a promotion, right?
Mhm.
And then he has 5 kids. He has more than that, but at that point, just to give you an example. So he trains the 5 kids, and they all train, and they have the cousins, families, whoever, and they all train to be wrestlers. He's gonna put them on top of the card because they're family, and because he can rely on them. So basically, that's how you can see it. Because if you know Carlito that you see on Raw, he's the sibling of one of them. That was last night, but cousins with the other one. And that's something that I laughed because they mentioned it in commentary. I think it was, oh shoot, I think it was Matt, if I'm not mistaken. Matt said, "Oh, they're brothers," and then Tom said, "No, they're cousins," because a lot of people think because they have the same last name that they're actually siblings, but they're not. So Orlando is siblings with Carlito, but they're cousins with Eddie. And
Right.
if you go back to the Hall of Fame, Carlos Colon, who's Carlito and Eddie's father, was in the Hall of Fame, or is in the Hall of Fame. He got inducted a few years. So imagine that their dad is the owner slash kind of founder ish of WC, the World Wrestling Council in Puerto Rico. Hence why they have so many championships, because they're family. So
It's like the blood. It's like Rikishi, right? I'm going to put it as like Rikishi. Rikishi has a kid popping up once a week. The man didn't know when to stop. There is a kid that I didn't even know about, and somehow he's now in wrestling. With that, and then we had the other surprise, and then the Full Sail University. I'm going to say this quite easily. Stole the UK's chant for Elias, because we started this, for Elijah, who is now. Brett, what was your honest reaction when you heard that guitar spring and then saw the most beautiful hairy man ever?
Perfect introduction for Elijah for sure. That was proven once you heard that guitar string and the reaction from the crowd. Just everybody immediately knew who it was, and I think that speaks to Elijah's character work in WWE.
Yep.
He's kind of been like not really on the radar, I feel like, since he's left WWE, but he's one of those talents that I was hoping TNA would pick up, just because I think he's the type of wrestler that we didn't see enough from in the ring, but I feel is probably capable of a lot more than what we even know. But his character work and that connectivity word that I love using, he's one of the better wrestlers, I think, at that. And considering, like, if you look at his accolades, he hasn't achieved what a lot of wrestlers have, and to have that connectivity that he does, very, very similar, if not maybe more, not currently, but at his peak, than Joe Hendry. I think pairing them up was really smart, right off the bat. And I think TNA needed another main eventer that's a strong face, and I think they'll be able to get that quickly with Elijah. But definitely a really good signing, a good addition to the TNA roster, because one of my critiques over the past few weeks has been the holes that I feel like exist in the roster, and I feel like this was part of a patch that they really needed.
Absolutely. And then we're going to go into the next one. It was the 6-man tag of
wait. I
Tyson.
wanted to say something though.
Oh yeah, sorry. Go for it.
the one thing though, don't get me wrong, I love Elijah. I adore him. I really do. But every time I see him, I think about how Joe Hendry is a better version of his character. And that's the only thing that like matching them up. I think is like if you really thought that Elijah connected with the crowd, Joe Henry took that to the next level even more than he did. So it just makes me like it made me laugh at the same time when I saw them teaming up because it just feels like an upgrade, like a copy paste and then an upgrade at the same time. If that makes sense. So but again, like Brett was saying, I'm just thinking like I'm glad they signed him just because it's nice to have somebody that's more established in the sense of like he knows his character, people are familiar with him, so you don't have to really introduce him from scratch. And people already know him and they'll just continue on kind of like that love and passion they had for him before just continue it on. So I'm glad they also did in Orlando just because you get that like reaction from the crowd that knows him from there as well. And I think that's something really smart as well here with similarly with the Colóns too, because think about it this way, especially Orlando's one of the biggest markets for a lot of Hispanic culture here. So to have them here, it makes a lot of sense because probably have a lot of Hispanics in the crowd that will react to them as well. And like Bobby's saying here, the Colóns were spoken very highly of last night because I was part of the Ring Respect Radio and we were talking about going to the territories and we were discussing the Colóns and the history in Puerto Rico. So I feel like having both the Colóns and Elijah come out to begin with in Orlando, it made a lot of sense happening here because of the crowd reactions. People are so familiar with all of them. They know them so well. So I'm glad they got the reactions they did. So I was very happy that we started off with like surprises like this, especially on a live Impact. So I'm very glad that everybody got this spot. I was just mostly confused because I would say maybe like a week or two ago, more or less, Elijah had posted a video with the Righteous from AEW / Ring of Honor. People thought he signed with AEW, and then now he came to TNA. Now he signed with TNA. So I was like, okay, so what happened here? Then I'm just kind of confused about that now. But I feel like either way, he fit in well with that group. But also, it's nice to see him being by himself too. And I hope he gets that spotlight in TNA moving forward.
Absolutely. I really do hope we see him even with a championship because we rarely or ever saw him with a championship in WWE. And to finally maybe see him have a championship run doesn't have to be the world title. Maybe the digital media championship might be the personal favorite because he can work the internet. He can work with everything. So for me, that might be because I really do not care about how they're going with the digital media championship right now. At all. Zero shits are given. So we're going to get into that little. Hey, Edward. Hope you're doing well, my friend. We're going to go into the 6-man tag now, where Tyson is tag team match. It was Tyson and DuPont. They're both of their names, weren't they? Or was that one person? I got confused
Tyson
while
and Tyree.
writing.
It's TNT. Tyson and Tyree. There you go.
Them. There we go. Versus the Rascalz. I'll get off this of my thoughts. I thought it was a good match. You can tell that TNT were I typed it as overhyped, where they tried to rush quite a few bits and pieces of this match, where they wanted things to happen quicker, or they were anticipating it a little bit too early, so the steps were off. And you can tell by the Rascalz trying to make up for a few bits and pieces. But then we've also got to remember that they're new. They haven't really done much tag team action before, so they're going to make mistakes. And being in the ring with the Rascalz is a good thing. I'm annoyed at the Rascalz won, not because I don't like the Rascalz. I think for the storytelling, I think it would have made more interesting if Wesley cost the Rascalz again for it to then lead to another match. I think with Ace Austin just running around the ring and just flipping his legs and he just goes flying, and then they lost. It was just a little bit of a shame, but it was booked after that for it. I'm going to get both your thoughts on this match from this. Brett, I'm going to go with you first.
Yeah, I'm not overly familiar with TNT until they started trickling into TNA programming. Something that I noticed right away, obviously, was the size difference between the two very different tag teams. But the Rascalz being the more established and more knowledgeable tag team for sure. I thought it was a solid match. I thought it was a solid way to bring the in-ring action to the live show. And I'm interested to see how this materializes after Sacrifice, or if Sacrifice is the be-all end-all. It's kind of interesting because I don't really get where they're going after Sacrifice, but I am excited to see Wesley in the ring with the Rascalz in some capacity. So if that's the payoff that we get, I'm happy with it for right now, and it gives the Rascalz something to do. Because something I was going to say too, before we got into this match that I forgot to mention, the Colóns coming in, I'm actually really happy about them joining TNA, because looking at the roster, they have like 6 tag teams right now. And I think the Hardys are in like a great spot, but once they lose the titles, you're still going to have the Hardys there, and they can, put on matches, do feuds with hopefully some of the younger teams and support them. But you have 2 teams in like the Northern Armory and the Good Hands that really need further development and establishment within the roster. I don't think they can really compete for the titles right now due to their lack of placement. And then the system, I feel like they're getting really stale. I think that's going to come to an end at some point. I could see Eddie and Brian Myers staying together, just because I don't see them really doing much else unless they rotate around the digital media division. But there's really not a whole lot there, I feel like, beyond the Rascalz that screams championship contender.
I think one of the good things that we've got right now is that you've got the NXT side. And I think that will help TNA with the tag division. NXT has way too many tag teams. But the issue that NXT has got is they always lose to Fraxium. So you've got a division at the moment where even if they go over to TNA, is if they win, it could then turn into like the second championship, like the second belt in the tag division, and you don't want to do that. We're going to be getting the Hardys versus Fraxium. That is inevitable, because next Tuesday on NXT, it's NQCC versus the Hardys for the TNA Tag Team Championships. I have a feeling that it's either going to be at Stand and Deliver or somewhere around Sacrifice. I'm not sure. I'm gonna fuck it. I'm gonna call it now. Stand and Deliver. We're gonna have the Hardy Boys versus Fraxium. Both titles on the line. WrestleMania weekend, you're going to have both titles on the line. Whoever wins will walk away. Fraxium go to Raw or SmackDown, and Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy can help make whatever kid's dream come true against them. That's basically what we're getting in the moment. I'm calling it. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I think that's where we're going. By both of your faces, I know you both do not give an absolute hoot. So I'm standing by that decision, because I want to see those faces when that actually happens. From that,
It's like I think the match would happen, but I just don't think it will be both titles on the line. But I know the match is definitely going to happen.
Yeah, but you can't put one title on the line and the other one
I know,
not.
but still, I don't think it'll be both titles on the line. But anyway, to go back to this point that I was going to mention before I forget, what I like here is like having TNT getting that experience with, like Brett mentioned, with that experience tag team, because we had glimpses of them together in NXT, but we had them be on screen too often. So it's nice to see this happening. And even at the end, was challenging for a 6-man tag for Sacrifice. I really enjoy that as well, just because it's nice to see a heel like Wes being like, no, I'm tired of this happening, and I want this match to happen. And I like having him in that position there as well. And I don't know if it's me, but I really enjoy seeing Ace Austin with the Rascalz. I don't know why, they just feel like they fit together so well for me. So I was very happy when he announced that was going to happen. So I'm glad that will be happening at Sacrifice.
I need Ace Austin to do something different. I'm not feeling this. I don't know why I'm not feeling it. I don't know what it is. I don't know if anyone else feels the same or doesn't feel the same as me. I know Astrid doesn't, but there's something about this that just feels off, or feels like there's a swerve coming, or there's something that's going to happen that's going to do so. Either Ace Austin turns his back on them, because apparently there's history on there, and I don't know about this history, but there's history because Wesley pointed it out in his promo. I don't know whether there's a way that we can do a triple threat Wesley versus both of the Rascalz in a triple threat match to see who can smoke the weed the best. I don't know how they're going to end that sort of way of doing things.
Bong on a pole.
Someone clip that. That is 24 minutes. That is going on live. Very
I'm coming for you,
quickly
Vince Russo.
I was thinking that too. I was going to say that sounds like a Vince Russo type of thing.
Oh, I'm so clipping this right after this show and posting it. I tell you, that's brilliant. But no, we're right. We're going to move on now. to the next. I have named this on my Google Doc as Brett's moment of the night. By the way,
Talk about
when I
needing an
watched
edible.
Yeah, with you guys.
I'm actually crying, you bastard. So AJ Lee brought out a group of people, and the only person I knew. Oh fucking hell! He's absolutely fucked me. He's absolutely cream cracking me.
Wait, I just.
I hope not.
You know
I
how in
literally
the
said it, and like.
You know, in the wrestling games, you could like give somebody
Yeah.
else the entrance. I'm just picturing AJ Francis skipping to the ring now.
Oh no, I cannot see.
I might be entertained by him if he did that.
WWE 2K25. You know what you want. You know what you need to do.
Now I want
So, AJ Francis, my brother. The only person I knew on that stage, by the way, was Mick Foley's daughter.
Oh my gosh! Of course you
That's
did.
literally the only person I knew out of everyone that was on that stage. I either felt really old because I knew no one, or I'm so out of touch with life that I still
You
knew
don't
no
know Frank
one.
the Clown?
I didn't
No.
even acknowledge anybody else being on the stage because I just was listening to what I was being forced to listen to.
I would say I would give props to the ladies for being there, even they got the spotlight. Gabby, Carolina, she wants to get called, and then Valentina. Very happy for all three of you to be on screen in TNA. That's all I'm saying from this segment.
Can I ask?
Fair, real.
And I don't want to. Who are they? Because I saw three of them. And
Gabby has a podcast. Valentina is an independent wrestler, and Carolina used to be in the show that Debbie did for a little while. It was called NXT, like Next Generation.
Right.
And I'm gonna give you the terrible fact that she's dating Lexis King.
Oh, so she's having a good life then. Well done. Lexis King, the most beautiful beard in all of professional wrestling. And AJ Francis built up saying that his first guest was going to be AJ Styles, but actually said it's AJ Lee. I mean, Francis. I meant that one on purpose, internet. And then the line of the night was when Tom said he stole Byron Saxton's wardrobe.
Mm-hmm.
I heard that and wet myself. I'm only going to ask one person about this segment. Brett, your thoughts on AJ Francis's opening premiere of his new show? Over to you.
Thank you.
Okay, right. Next up, we had that's all we needed. To be fair, it's literally all we needed. Oh, that was better than I even planned it.
Oh my god, we feel the love.
That was better than I even planned it. Brilliant. We're going to go into the next one, which was the shock of the night, I'm going to call it, where it was Rosemary versus Léi Yǐng Lee. If you don't know who Léi Yǐng Lee is, and this is the first time watching, Léi Lee was in WWE. She went through NXT. She went to the main roster, never really got opportunities. Is incredible wrestler as well. She's got some of the fastest moving feet I've ever seen in a woman in a ring, which if you look now in a lot of NXT and WWE, a lot of people are trying to emulate what she did. So seeing her go over to TNA, I was very happy and very not surprised, but I'm happy that she hasn't been getting the matches as much as I thought she would. She's been getting one every 3 weeks, I think it is, on TNA TV. It hasn't been like a proper momentum gaining experiences. She's here. She's off again. Oh, she's back again. Okay, cool. Oh, she lost the Battle Royal to that big woman. But then she's back again. And it sort of didn't really, the momentum hasn't been there. But this, on the other hand, Astrid, I was about to call you AJ Francis then.
AJ Francis, hello.
He's on my brain.
Goodbye. No. I'm not having any of this crap today. Nope. Can't believe it, freaking AJ. Should know better than
get
that.
KC. Come on, like
I can't be armed. My mouth, ever since I watched that segment earlier, my mouth has just malfunctioned. Of how shit. Anyway,
I'll give you a redo. What is it again?
the natural Astrid. Your thoughts on this match?
Honestly, there's not much to say. Unfortunately for me, it was one of those that it wasn't a bad match, but like really nothing stood out to me. What I liked about commentary here is that they mentions like, oh, how do we get people to basically be contenders towards Masha? And they mentions like, oh, by getting wins like this is how you get basically go up the ranks in that way. And they mentioned it was like, oh, maybe Rosemary will win so that way she can go back to get another world title shot because she's the last one that received one. So they had that discussion on commentary, but at the end, Léi Yǐng wins, and then we have Rosemary just missing her at the end. But I don't like that there's no direction for them because even after this match, what is going to happen next? It doesn't seem like they really have a plan for them. And it's frustrating to watch it. So it's like it doesn't motivate me to watch it and then continue this on when you don't know what's going to happen next and you don't get kind of like a clue of it. And even then later, I'll put it up in this part here. When Tessa's talking to the doctor about getting cleared, she's like, "Oh, don't worry about the undercard. Worry about the star." And I'm like, "You were talking about in commentary a few minutes ago about putting Zia Lee almost up the ranks, but then you're putting her down by telling her she's in the undercard here." So it's like I feel like that canceled out what commentary was saying a few minutes ago. So I feel like the timing of that wasn't great. I understand Tessa's a heel, and that's what she's supposed to say, but I feel like the timing of that was not great at all. If you're trying to put her up the ranks, you gotta make her look like a badass. I was like, not only is misting her, but then calling her part of like the undercard a little bit later. I feel like that kind of cancels out what you were trying to do there. So it's like I feel like there's no motivation to continue this, and I don't like it. I don't like it whatsoever.
Brett?
The biggest standout for me with this is I was worried after Rosemary lost to Masha that she would kind of just disappear. But the fact that she was booked on the live show made me happy. But then when I saw it was against Léi Yǐng Lee, I was kind of worried that she was just going to get Léi Ying just a win. And there wouldn't really be much competitiveness. It'd kind of be a squash match. I was fearing that for Rosemary, but I feel it was a competitive match. Rosemary got to get some good offense in. But I also like the fact that she missed it at the end. I'm hoping that materializes into something the coming weeks and becomes a rivalry, because I think the placement right now that TNA has booked themselves in is that you have Masha on top with Tessa soon approaching and Cora Jade approaching at Sacrifice. Those two are obviously the two that are gunning for Masha right now. So I think it's one of those situations where they need to build the next set of people that could potentially contend again. And Rosemary and Léi Yǐng Lee are both two perfect individuals to put there. I think if they could end up building people like Savannah Evans or Tasha Steeles or Zaya Brookside, you could insert them in that conversation as well. But I feel like they've been getting the treatment that Léi Yǐng Lee has the past few weeks of just feels like hot potato with them.
Yeah, agree. Then it cuts to a video of Sami Callihan attacking Mans again in a backstage area.
You say his name.
Yeah, that happened. I know. I literally just write Mans. That was it. I don't know the whole of it. I don't know any of it. And also, I'm going to be honest, TNA, couldn't give a shit. So that's the issue I'm at right now. This rivalry means literally diddly squat to me. Please, for the love of God, can we move on? Get someone who actually can wrestle, not Sami Callihan, to actually fight for this title instead of a fat slob who thinks weapons can actually wrestle. Next up, we had the can someone talk about the Northern Armory promo with Eric Young, please? Because I absolutely hated this. I thought it was the most boring, generic promo I've ever heard in my existence of a human being. And this is a guy that's meant to be a veteran of the wrestling industry. And he made the most boring... This made me not give a shit more about the Northern Armory than it did before. And I didn't even care before. It gave me way down even more of how much non-crap I cared about this. Eric Young has... And I'm gonna be honest. And the people say, you're just saying this... No, I'll say this to his face. He's disappointed me from the Eric Young that I used to know from what I'm seeing for his current run in TNA. Everything he's done has been boring. His character work has been generic. And everything that he says, I don't believe. Everything. I don't believe he's going to bring this Northern Armory up. I think he's just there to be a placement for something. I just think this whole TNA were like, oh, I don't know what to do. Josh Alexander's leaving. We just put him with a group. Eric Young, do something. And it's just not worked. This is horrific. I do apologize for that rant, but I had to get this off my chest because it really irritated me earlier. Astrid, I'll go to you first. What did you think about this new thing?
I mean, it didn't bother me, but I feel like they took too long to really address everything. I feel like if it was a little bit shorter, I would have felt better about it. Because I like the fact that he addressed Josh and was like, oh, basically that chapter is closed. Let's move on. And then involving Steve Macklin here about like having him be a part of the group with him and like moving that to the next chapter of the Northern Armory. So it's like I like both parts of that, but I just feel like he took too long. And there was also so many instances of the crowd reacting so loud that I feel like he was trying to go over them and he wasn't able to. So you could see that he kind of stopped a little bit here and there just so that they could correct their reactions. And I feel like that made it even longer than it should have been. I feel like I would have made this maybe a backstage segment and maybe something a little bit shorter than what it was. And I feel like that would have been more on the target than what happened here. But I like the fact that he's like, oh, I'm the gatekeeper. It's like, and somebody like him, I understand him being the gatekeeper in TNA. And how he said, I want Steve to be standing next to me here to lead on the Northern Armory, to be champions and to be men, because Josh couldn't do that. So it's like, I like the way he addressed things, but at the same time, I don't like the fact that he had to stop because of the crowd reaction that made him talk a little bit more than he should have.
Right.
Yeah, I feel like the setting was just wrong for me. I don't think it should have been in front of the crowd promo. I think it should have been an edited like vignette of some sort. And I just think it was misplaced. I think the message was a good message after the Josh departure. But I just think, again, it needed editing and filming and some cinematic type moments or whatever to really tie it in. And I think when you're doing it in front of a live crowd, you can't do that. And it felt generic because of the message. I just think the setting was wrong.
He kept shouting like there was no like when I want to be passionate, right? I will have a conversation and then I'll go for it. It was the same tone throughout the whole promo. It was just shouting the whole way through, and I was like, at some point, are you going to change what you're doing? Because it just didn't feel. And you're right as well. Both of you were right. The message was probably fine. You probably picked up on a different message than what I did, because I switched off. I fully switched off after he started like repeating himself over and over again. And I was like, and you both were right. This needed to be an edited backstage vignette. A lot edited. A lot.
I think the other thing too is the gatekeeper thing is tired for me.
No. How many do they need? Isn't Mike Santana a gatekeeper now?
I have no idea. I'm just here. But I'm at the point with the gatekeeper stuff where I'm like, everybody's a gatekeeper. Everybody's the best in the world. Everybody's number one. Everybody's the new face. I'm just like,
it just makes you think if there's so many number ones, then who's really number one? There's nobody. Like, it feels that way.
I feel the message, other than the gatekeeper part, could have still applied, and it could have been, and it probably would have uplifted the Northern Armory more, to where if it was just a focus of like being the ringleader, the leader of the Northern Armory, as opposed to being the leader of TNA.
Now we're going to move on to a vignette that I hold very highly. The AA meeting that happened backstage, where you found Mustafa Ali now with the 3 people he was talking with last time, and now in suits and looking professional behind him. Him not even looking. These two have nailed this, by the way. These two have nailed this. I can't express how much I love this. The way that he was talking about, you can redeem yourself, you can get better, you can do this, you can get better on the other side. And then as he's turning, still does not look at Mike Santana at all. Just doesn't even acknowledge him, but taps him on the shoulder. And he goes, turn to the end. I'm reading what I put. Says, people can change, but you can't. And then just walks away. And I went, oh my God, you've nailed this. That was the promo package to build promo packages. Astrid, before I gush more over Ali, even though I couldn't stand the bloke about 4 weeks ago, has now made me actually love the bloke, which is really irritating. Your thoughts on this promo? This is a promo we should be talking about.
Yeah, I really like the setting here because it makes it, even though it's always awkward when you see a lot of people there because, you know, they're extras, but at the same time, it makes it more realistic of Santana's life, being that he's a recovering addict. And he mentioned that I think he's been sober for 2 years, if I'm not mistaken, at this point. So I like you're basically looking at it from Santana's point of view. And I like the fact that Ali inserted himself into Santana's world by doing this. I also like the visual of having the good hands and Sasha Steels with their outfits behind Ali as well. It's not the party cards, it's them now. And I like how he started recruiting them and they're already behind him. But I feel like I also would have loved if we would have had a little bit more insight about the good hands and Sasha being part of kind of like Secret Service kind of thing before we got something like this. But again, I like the visual of him being here and the fact that he's like, I'm talking to everybody else, but I'm not talking to you, even though you're right next to me. I'm not acknowledging your presence. And he's like, I'm you guys are all inspiring, you guys are all this and this and that. But he's talking to like everybody, like doing kind of like that half circle thing and not really acknowledging Santana here. And I feel like there's something that you're gonna see, like it's gonna irritate Santana, the fact that he doesn't include him as part of the people that are inspired here, even though he's part of the people that are sober in the group here. So I thought that the setting itself, like this one, was very interesting to watch, and I feel like they did really great with the setting itself.
Yeah, this was absolutely. I don't know if this is a controversial take, but I think this was the best part of the show for me. The reason I say that is because I think anytime you get a debut or a return or any new talent coming to rejoin the roster or join the roster for the first time, there's that excitement because it's something new, it's something fresh. I think Santana's done a fantastic job coming into his role and having the singles run that he's been on so far, and I think it's just going to develop as the year goes on. Same thing for Ali. They've created the hype through their work around this, and I think they made the most of their time. They didn't get a lot of time with this segment, but they made the absolute most of it. And I said this weeks ago, but I think tying in real life situations and having those like impactful, hard-hitting, emotional moments of kind of taking digs at Santana and his story is just going to make him an ultimate babyface as he progresses and gets more wins under his belt against certain members of the roster. And I think Ali is just so well-rounded as a talent. He's the type of wrestler that you look at, and he's one of the people that I would throw out there as like perfect professional wrestler, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's no The Rock, but he is the perfect professional wrestler. I acknowledge my final boss. But then I don't want to discuss this too much because it's going to get me angry. We had JDC versus Leon Slater in a no disqualification match. Do we have to discuss this match, or can we just talk about what happened at the end?
I'll say I was shocked, but
so pissed off.
I will say I'm shocked that I'm actually starting to not mind what they're doing with Leon Slater. And the reason being is there's actually a story to it now, where before it was like pre-show purgatory is the term that I was giving it. And it felt like they weren't really doing much with him. And they finally are developing a story to where there's been questions sometimes where I'm like, are there any writers back there? What are we doing? Like, are we just fantasy booking? Are we playing like a simulation game where we're just throwing names at a wall? That's what it was feeling like before, but now it has a story behind it, and I think it will, as much as I hate seeing JDC get wins over young talent that are more talented than him. And somebody like Leon Slater that absolutely should be a pillar of TNA in the future. I think it's going to pay off. I think it's going to be worth it.
Astrid?
Yeah, I think more about, for me in the match itself, I do love that Swanton 450 through the table. That was just beautiful.
Mhm.
But I love seeing Leon here growing and growing every single week. And I feel like the fact that you have him teaming up with the Hardys quite often, I feel like he can learn a lot from them. And not only is he already inspired by them, but the fact that he can learn from them like in present time, that's just amazing. Not everybody gets an opportunity like that. Being that this was already like advertised as that no DQ match, I automatically knew the system was going to get involved and that was going to cause GDC to win anyway. It was just a matter of what was going to happen throughout the match as a story and even afterwards. And I love the fact that this time at least Jeff didn't dance on his way out and he actually started running to help out Leon at least. I was very happy that happened. But no, I like seeing the Hardys come out. They automatically came in, but again, it's like the numbers game here and the system is still in control. And I like the fact that even before the Hardys come out, like the Oba chant started happening before the Hardys even came out. I was like, yes, people know. And I love the fact that we have this partnership again. Being in Orlando is very like important in this aspect because if you had been somewhere else, they probably would have been chanting Oba because a lot of people probably don't know about him. So I feel like it made a lot more sense because not only that, but Oba had mentioned that he was going to go to Moose's turf this time around. So you can see that happening there too. And I was like, I love that the Oba chants happen. And then they got the Hardys. And then all of a sudden the lights come on. People keep going with the Oba chants until he came out. And again, I love seeing him here. And that was just amazing. I love the reaction that he got from the crowd. And I loved even the fact later that Santino announces that it'll be 3 members of the system versus Oba and the Hardys. And I was like, again, this is just great for the story here.
I will
Can
say
I-
too,
Oh, sorry, go on.
really quick. I think that they've also had like Kazarian involved with the Leon Slater stuff. They've had JDC, but I wish that they would. I don't think they can keep going back to JDC and Leon Slater, and I don't think that they have to with this story. I think they'd be better off pivoting to somebody like Brian Myers, to be honest. And I think that might have a better effect. They can keep the story right intact, but we don't have to keep seeing because the JDC, like we're at the point now, JDC cannot beat Leon Slater again. Because if it happens again, it's one of those things. I think it's just overkill. Whatever that they're trying to cook or marinate is just like dead. And yeah, I think so. They need to pivot definitely. And I'm kind of hoping that Kazarian gets reinserted. Because I would really like to see what they could do together. I think Kazarian's really reliable. So he's in a similar placement as Eric Young when he should be putting over younger talent right now. So
Can I just say, right? And I love Oba, but the man was dancing to the ring while everyone was getting beaten up, and I went, "What are you doing? Come on, you can literally annihilate them
He
within
learned from
seconds."
Jeff.
And yeah, he did, yeah. And he literally, as he come out and he started doing the dance, I went, "Oh shit, everyone's in trouble." It's literally my first thought. I love Oba. And really looking forward to seeing the stuff that he's going to be doing. We're going to get into the next part now, where it was meant to be Tessa Blanchard's match, but she come out and said that she will not be wrestling due to the fact of that the doctor was not paying attention towards her, and she will not be putting herself in danger. And then there was a lot of audience chants that went back to her. She just stood there and took it, as she should. And then Santino Marella come out and said that if she does not wrestle next week in a match, she will be fired from TNA, which got the biggest cheer of the night from that quote. And then Masha come out, said that she will have a fight instead, beat the woman in 2 minutes. And then we had Cora Jade come out and do the rest. And I'm going to say something here. I actually had to ask Astrid how I should phrase this. So I am going to phrase this as well and as good as a dyslexic fat white man can actually phrase this. I am enjoying the character work of Tessa Blanchard. People will say it's not hard for her to go into this full heel mode. Now it may be hard. It may be easy for some people to do the type of promos and the way she's doing because of what's happened. Now, I do not condone whatsoever what happened in the past. That's unacceptable. But I'm going off of what I see in the arena and what I see in the ring. Now, Tessa Blanchard is a phenomenal athlete, and she can cut promos and talk on the microphone. and she could get under your skin no matter what. But do you think that they're very close to the line here of trying to blur real life to the character? Because how do I word this without getting cancelled? They seem to acknowledge what she's done without acknowledging what she's done, and trying to get her to play a character that the fans think of what she was like backstage at that time. Does have I worded that right? Without trying to get in trouble with this. I think she's doing a great job of what she's doing within the circumstances of it. Brett, I'm going to go to you on this with this one. And Astrid, I'll go over to you about Cora Jade and that moving forward, because I know you don't want to talk about Tessa anymore. But I'll go to Brett because Brett's happy to say what he thinks. So, Brett, I'm going to go to you.
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations. TNA is dumb enough to sign her, but not, but they're intelligent enough to know the reaction that she's going to get. And they're playing into that. And if you are going to sign Tessa Blanchard, that's what you should do. Like, that's going to be the strength. Trying to act like people are not going to have that reaction, not play into that, and turn it into like her being the ultimate heel is just ignorance at that point. And it's a missed opportunity because you're not going to get Tessa over as a face right now. So I think Tessa, to her credit, I know that she's definitely been feeling it since she's come to TNA. I know she's been nervous at different times, but I have to give her credit in the sense that if I was in that situation, I don't know that I would have been able to handle and still carry on. Like I give her credit for turning it into a positive for her character in terms of like the chants and stuff like that. But we'll see. I don't know. I'm interested to see if it's worth it, but I still feel like I wish she didn't show up because I would rather have Rosemary in that position. And I know that that's fantasy booking at that point because I don't know that they would have even done that if Tessa was not in the picture. But I just think people like Tasha Steelz are kind of floundering around. Rosemary is close, but not really. Those are talents that I think that they could be investing in that they just haven't to their maximum.
And an Astrid, we know this has been brewing for a very long time, but it was announced March 14th, Sacrifice. It will be Cora Jade versus Masha Slamovich for the TNA Knockouts Championship. Your thoughts on, I know you're not a massive fan of Cora Jade, and I am, big fan of hers so far, of what she's been like, touch wood and whistle, injury free. Your thoughts going into this match and how you think this could potentially go?
I mean, I feel like at least recently Cora has been growing a little bit more in her in-ring work. So I'm glad that she'll get this opportunity to really shine on her own without Roxanne being there. So I'm glad, like, overall, that's how I feel like this will help her in the end. I feel like the way it is, Masha is still going to win. I don't see her losing anytime soon, especially to the people that they have in the roster right now because nobody really built up enough to do this. I feel like it still won't make it interesting because you don't know if anybody's going to try to get in there. You know if Tessa's going to try to get in there and try to distract Masha at the end, even though Masha's still going to win somehow. But I feel like it's very uncertain in that aspect, like what can happen in between there, like during the match, aside from Masha winning at the end. But again, it's like I feel like it's a great opportunity for Cora to grow a little bit more and to do something outside of NXT as well. And I feel like something that's going to be great for her at the end. So even though I don't particularly like, and I'm not a fan of her character, but at the same time, happy for the opportunity that she's getting.
Perfect. We then get into a backstage segment where Spitfire, where Botox by Elegance, as they are now named on this channel, due to Brett's absolutely tremendous working there of that, saying that they deserve, after Ariana Grace and Santino were having a chat with each other, they then interrupt, and then the personal concierge would not shut up. It was so long how much he repeated himself. I started to get bored. But then it has been announced that I don't know whether it's next week because it didn't really say, or whenever the match is going to happen. But it's going to be Spitfire versus Botox by Elegance for the Knockouts Tag Team Championship, and the losing team will have to be the personal concierges for the other team for 24 hours. Now, if that was long worded for a title match, it's because it is. Astrid, I'll go with you first on this one. Your thoughts on potentially seeing this tag match again?
This is the only thing that this is what I've been mentioning for the last couple of weeks. It just, there's really nobody else right now, unless you start taking 2 singles people and do a makeshift team. The Elegance, they're the only ones that can really go against Spitfire. Am I gonna like them being champions? No, I'm not gonna like that happening either way. It just feels like kind of like silly having. I understand the concierge part because of Ash and Heather, but at the same time, I find it kind of silly for the tag titles to be involved in something like this, and for the match itself to be announced like backstage instead of something happening in the ring, to really highlight it's like the division itself. So that's why I'm like torn about it, because I'm glad that the titles are being on the line, but I just don't like the presentation that we had about it so far. I was trying to look to see if they mentioned it for the pay-per-view or not, but I don't see anything yet either. But again, as I feel like maybe with the pay-per-view it might happen, but who knows at this point. But I don't know. I'm just really torn about it right now. It's like, because it just feels like if Ash and Heather win, then we're gonna get Spitfire getting another rematch, because literally there's nobody else, and we're gonna hit this like hot potato between both of them, because there's really nobody else right now, unless you start bringing some teams from NXT to like get a little bit more involved here. But overall, I'm like, so about it.
Brett?
Yeah, I think I'm just tired of these 2 teams fighting each other. I think it's ran its course. They haven't had a break from one another, unfortunately. You made a prediction earlier, so I guess I'm going to make mine, that I don't think the division will be saved until the Inspiration comes back.
Oh my god, yes, and they're training too, which is pretty hard.
I just don't see them actually bringing in any teams unless they finally pull the trigger on the NXT partnership in that way. And I honestly, I don't think Cora's been a bad addition from this partnership, but I honestly think I would have preferred TNA to utilize the NXT partnership first to help out the Knockouts tag scene and really build up the Knockouts that they have that are single competitors. Because I think when you take away the NXT partnership and just look at the Knockouts roster right now, Tess is the only believable challenger for Masha because of the booking.
I think they should bring Zolruka and Zarya over to TNA to go for the Knockouts title. I'm loving what they're doing currently on NXT. So we then had my brother come out and say that Dolph Ziggler's got 22 days left. I couldn't give a shit if he ever come back. And then it was also announced that next week Kazarian will be facing Ace Austin, amongst other matches as well. But now we're going to get into our main event here, where Joe Hendry and Elijah went toe to toe, with the Colóns. How do I put a positive spin on this match? It was full of happiness. The match, I might have been broken, and I'm going to openly admit this, by Fraxium, the Rascalz, those type of tag matches, because I think I've got used to those type of tag matches, but this one bored the hell out of me. And I'm blaming Fraxium for this. It's easy to blame them, to be fair. They win all the time and they put on bangers. It really irritates me. Brett, I'm going to go with you on this one. Your thoughts of seeing Elijah for the first time in a tag match in TNA. Also, I was very disappointed with something at the end of this match, but I'll explain it later. Your thoughts on this match and seeing 3 superstars make their debut for TNA?
I think Elijah did well for the match, for what it's going to be. It's one of those matches we're probably not going to see again. I just think it was more so meant to bring Elijah into the fold while also giving the Colóns a match right off the bat, and obviously bring them in as heels beyond just their promo when they're entrance hit and they had their initial debut. I'm excited though, like I said before, that the Colóns are in TNA. We need more tag teams, and I think they'll fit it well with the tag division. And then Elijah, I'm interested to see what they do after this now. I think that's my only question coming out of it, is what is the follow-up going to be? Where are they going to position him? Who is he going to go up against first? Because honestly, looking at the roster, I really don't know who he should go up against. Like, I don't even have people that I'm like, oh yeah, I hope this is how they go about it.
Jake, sorry. Astrid, we're going to go to you.
He's out though.
Yeah, he's injured.
Oh, for the love of God.
I was torn about it because I understand the point of like it almost seemed boring that this match happened. I do like the fact that we got to see Elijah like wrestling because I haven't seen him in quite a while. I enjoy watching Joe Hendry, and I feel like the Colóns moved really well for people their age as well because they're not young at this point either. And like Brett was saying, is like I'm glad them as a team, they have a lot of experience as singles and tag team competitors too. So I feel like you can use them either way. And it's similar to Elijah in that way. They're already people that are established and people that the audience already knows. And I feel like that helps in the end, that you don't have to build them up and give them a character because people already know who they are and you can work off of them. I just don't think like I would have put this match particularly as the main event itself. I think that's the like, I don't want to say downfall, but like the major part of this, like the major factor of this match. And it just felt surprising also that Joe wasn't the one that get the pin for the group. It was Elijah. So I wanted something that's going to come into factor a little bit later for him to get a title match. That's the only thing that I could think of. But I guess like me being Puerto Rican, I enjoy watching the Colóns. So it's like one of the last few times we actually saw them in WWE, they were the Matadores in WWE. So we had like it's great like fast paced matches, but we didn't know, like obviously on screen it wasn't them. But I'm glad that here, even in commentary, they were able to talk about their accomplishments and being in WWE and WWC, like everything they from their backgrounds, and they were able to speak freely about that stuff, which I'm glad they could do now in TNA as well. And it's not just like they're great accomplished, but we can't really say anything at this point. But I'm glad they could say that in commentary here. But it was like I feel like it was more to show off Elijah being back in the ring, Joe Hendry's strength at the beginning of the match as well. But I feel like it was like just an okay match. I just wouldn't have put it as the main event though.
They're 42, the Colóns. I didn't really. They look
Yeah.
heck of a
I
lot
was gonna say,
younger.
they're not
than-
young, and
No, they
that's-
look young though. That's the thing.
and that's the funny part. Like that's what I was saying when you think of Fraxian, for example.
Yeah.
They move really well for people their age, if that makes sense, because they're
Mhm.
not young either, but they don't move like they're crippled. So it's like you would kind of expect them to be a little bit slower, and they're not. So it's like, so I like that's why I like watching them. Because like either way, they don't act like the people their age. They do really well for their age.
I like that they have big arms.
I was like, I was like thinking that Mike Freeze.
No, I just left that hang there for a little while. I'm not gonna lie. I just left that hang there. The only thing the only thing that I was disappointed about was that Elijah. Yes, they are, and that includes you, Bobby. So that's popped me. I don't know why that's made me laugh more than what it should. The only thing that disappointed was Elijah didn't smash Joe Hendry with the guitar. That was the only thing that I was like, go on.
No.
Do it. Just do it. Do it. I was like, have you know when you watch Star Wars and you've got the old man, he goes, just do it. Do it, Skywalker. Him. I fully turned into that, just sitting there going, do it. Just because I want to see it happen. But no. I presume they're going to build to that because Elijah, I can't see being a babyface for too long. And I think seeing him being a heel again could be interesting. But I don't want him after Joe Hendry yet. I want him after that Digital Media Championship. I want him to take that, hold a title, let him hold that title for a while. Then he can go and give it off, maybe go after the TNA World Championship, however long the contract is that they may have signed or whatever the deal is with that. But don't do the thing that I feel like TNA are going to do, where we're going to get a sacrifice. It's going to be Joe Hendry versus Elijah. And I'm like, no, don't do it yet.
That I can see happening. See, that's more realistic than what you mentioned earlier.
No, but I don't want
Yes.
it. I don't want it.
That's a little bit more accurate. I'll tell you that.
I'd rather have Tony D'Angelo versus Joe Hendry, and I can't stand Tony D'Angelo. He does my nut in. He's just bloody one-dimensional and injured every 2 minutes. So yeah. Overall thoughts on the we've had 2 live shows this year already. Going into 2025, I don't know. They didn't do one for 8 years before that. I felt the production was a lot better. I felt the way that they did things felt a lot better than they've learned from it as well. Being in Orlando as well for Full Sail University and the history it has with professional wrestling and everything that it was been done with it before. Your overall thoughts with the second time going? I'm going to go with Brett first on this one. Your thoughts with the second live show of it, and where you think this could potentially go moving forward for TNA.
I feel that this should have been the first live show of the year. Like, I wish I could take this show and put it in January, because I think this is what I was expecting when we got the first live show in 8 years. Especially as somebody that attended the first live show. It didn't hit. It really didn't. I expected a lot more. This show, it felt like they had more time to plan things, and I hope that that's the trend moving forward as they have more live shows. I'm excited to see how things develop with Mustafa Ali and Mike Santana. I think that's my big takeaway from this, what I'm excited about the most. I'm also excited to see what they do with the new additions to the roster. And I'm interested to see how the match goes between Masha and Cora, because I think Masha's one of those talents where she's a top talent, but I think that there's almost like another word where, like, just above that, I think of people like Jordan Grace and Diana and different people where, like, you could put anybody against them and they're going to have fantastic matches. And I think this is going to be Masha's first test of, is she ready for that next tier where, you know, she's able to really develop talent, because I don't think Cora has the in-ring skills compared to somebody like Masha. So if she can make Cora, and, you know, obviously not taking away credit from Cora at all, if she can help, you know, give her a fantastic match for Cora and support her in the right ways, I think it's going to be really telling of Masha's skills.
Astrid?
Yeah, I understand where Brett's coming from, because I feel like starting the show with the Joe Hendry concert and then the surprises right after, I feel like they gave it more of a big feel compared to the other shows. I'm glad that they're doing, kind of continue on that like trend of doing that first show as a live show and then the tapings after that. I feel like it's great to do, like, for them to have a live show at least every once in a while, just because it's not spoiled, and a lot of people end up tuning in more than anything because you don't know what's going to happen next. So I'm like, I feel like that really helps them out on the end, especially when you do something big for that live show and then continue on using that for the tapings. I feel like it motivates people to keep watching. So to me, it makes sense that they continue on, and I believe for the ones in Texas, they're going to return to, they're going to do another live show as well. So I feel like they're definitely going to continue on with that routine, and I feel like it makes sense for them as well. And again, it's like I haven't read them, and today they're gonna do more tapings too. So who knows what is gonna happen when you have NXT right here in the backyard in Orlando as well happening. So maybe there's more surprises of the tapings tonight too that they're doing. So I'm looking forward to it, but I hope they continue on and learn from their mistakes and see what's really actually working for them and continue using that, and not do what they did for the first live show, because it felt like underwhelming for the first live show.
Right.
TNA, I have an analogy. I have an analogy. Sorry, I just it came into my head and I was like, I have to share this. But I feel like this is true in other parts of TNA's history, but with these 2 live shows specifically, TNA oftentimes is that kid that goes and takes the test and fails and then finally starts to see the value in doing homework and preparing. And I feel like they then passed this test. I was that kid at one point too, so no shade. But yeah, no, it just feels like they learned a lot from the first live show to where this was at least a passing grade. I think there were parts that could have been better, but I don't think it has anything to do with it being a live show. I think it's more so just the writing that I had issues with.
Derek Young. Yeah, no, I
AJ Lee.
Yeah, AJ Lee as well. So we've had 2. I'm definitely not copying that one. But no, I would like to see, and this is my fantasy thinking here, I would love to see TNA do a weekly show where it's live. I hate the pre-records, because you just get people on the internet that are just sending stuff of exactly what's going to happen. And I feel like TNA is at the stage now where they don't have many leaks, where you don't really know who's going to turn up. Who would have thought Obafemi was going to turn up? I just thought it was going to be a thing that they did on NXT. And then there's other stuff that could potentially happen as well. I just hope that the leaks are not really there and they can turn this weekly live show into a thing. But let's see what we can do here from there. But we're going to end the show here. I should have read that later. You've actually put me off everything now, you bastard.
I like how you just throw him off guard, though. Like,
I saw him typing, and I was like, I don't know whether he's searching something. And I saw it pop up, and I read it, and I went, bastard got me. So that is going to be it. Thank you guys ever so much for joining us here today. We're going to be back next Friday. I know that Astrid and Brett will not be here, so I will be back doing a solo show next Friday. So make sure, if you haven't already, to hit the subscribe button down below in the description here today. If you're watching this on OLE, make sure you hit the subscribe, hit the follow button, and make sure as well to hit that like button, because there are 7 days worth of content coming your way this week. I already did a show this week on Tuesday talking all things Formula One solely on here, and it just did really well. Before we go, can I please get Brett on the dance floor, please? And can you please tell everyone about your supermarket simulator that I saw? I think I saw you talking about the other day that I watched, and what you got coming up on your channels.
Yes, you can follow me on Instagram at HonestlyBretter, TikTok and YouTube at HonestlyBretter, on Twitch, HonestlyBretter, and then on Twitter, because I'm not calling it X, it's Bretter. And I've been streaming some fast food simulator and Overwatch too. So if you are a video game fan as well, that's what I'm doing on Twitch. And just keeping up with TNA, and I tweet about it all the time. So if you want to hear my thoughts more than you did here, you can check out my Twitter and follow me there.
Also, if you want to see someone pretend to make a phone call with a burrito, you go and follow Brett and look at his stories. I saw that while I was at work and nearly wet myself with, what is this man doing?
you wet yourself way too many times, so it's kind of concerning.
I'm old. It just leaks out of me now. It's just like a hose at certain points. It just comes out of you.
Too much information at this point, sir. We're not at that level yet. Calm down.
Astrid,
That's almost a HIPAA violation.
AJ Francis, what have you got coming up on your channels, and what you got going for you?
Anyway, you can find me on my Twitter is Astrid Bizarro, my Instagram and Threads AstridBizarro20. You can find me on Monday doing WCW. We're gonna be debuting season 2 of the Mae Young Classic. Tuesday doing Taking Over with Ed. And I'll be here on Friday. Hopefully somebody else will join in, and annoy Mark, since Brett and I will not be here. But yeah, if you haven't yet, you can go find my episode of Ring Respect Radio that happened just last night about talking about Puerto Rico and the history of wrestling there. With Bobby and Papa Smoke. So it was really fun to dive in about and talk a little bit about my heritage and my island there as well. Other than that, and I think that's about it for the moment. And Bobby and I have joined Horror Facts, aka Knife in the Dark. So we're going to be discussing a lot more horror with them lately. So if you follow their channels, you can hear our podcast, and we're going to join in and do a lot more discussions there. So really fun stuff happening over there. So I'm really excited for that too.
I respect that you and Bobby do the horror talk, but I can't watch horror because anything that wants to make me shit myself, I will not be watching.
Well, now we're not leaking anymore.
No, it's coming out of one end and going out the other. If it's not one hole, it's the other. So...
I feel like this is not a conversation to be having at the moment. Just so you know.
So
is this still about wrestling?
I don't know anymore. What am I doing? I'm promoting myself. I don't know why. If you haven't already, make sure you go and follow me on Mark Talks Football. We're trying to get South Shields promoted to the Premier League as quickly as we can. And on what day are we on today? Friday. This is the final week of shows before WrestleMania on WWE 2K24. It's coming to the end of the series. It's coming to the end of season 2.5, I think it is now, of WWE 2K24. And I will say this, hopefully, March the 7th is the day 2K25 is meant to drop. And on March the 7th, I am planning on recording a lot of videos. So please make sure you go over there and subscribe, because you will be getting a lot of WWE 2K25 My Universe mode coming your way as well. But that is going to do it for us. Thank you ever so much to Astrid for putting up with me calling her the wrong name twice, and thank you ever so much for Brett. For fuck's sake,
Breath.
Your name's Breath now.
A breath of fresh air.
We're going with that. That makes it sound better than me being a twat. Brett, for turning up and listening to the shenanigans that comes out of my mouth. So yes, thank you guys ever so much for watching. We will be back with you very, very soon, and there's other shows as well on here, but make sure you always take care of yourselves. Peace. Got to press buttons now. I don't know what buttons I'm meant to press. Oh, this one.
What you think about when you're born into a fire? Let 'em